Hi, my name's Jordan Scheider, and to me, heroism is someone who is willing to put themselves before others. A hero is someone who wears their bravery on their shoulder. I think of someone who is willing to risk their own safety to protect others. While thinking of these characteristics, I think of the stories my dad used to tell me about when he used to run into burning buildings to help save lives. My dad is a hero because he was able to help so many people throughout the years. His name is Ed Scheider, and he is a retired firefighter and paramedic. He would tell me all of his amazing stories about the runs he would make. He unfortunately would also tell me some of the more tragic ones that still stick with him today. He says that no matter how hard you try, you cannot save everyone. He was born in 1965 and decided while sitting at his 1983 high school graduation that he was going to enlist in the Air Force. While at the Air Force, he was part of the fire crash rescue, so he practiced driving the trucks onto the runway to put out the flames of a crash. He practiced rescuing pilots and their crew members from the planes, also burning buildings. He also learned how to shoot an M16 in case the base was attacked. In 1985, he applied to be a firefighter in Marysville, Ohio. The fire department decided to sponsor him so he could go through medic school to become a paramedic because of his potential. In 1989, he went through the program through the Grant Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, to take courses to become a paramedic. Now I'm going to share some of the runs he had made. This first one is a story about him as a paramedic. They were called to a grocery store for a man who had passed out. He was unresponsive and did not have a pulse. The man had been carrying water and dropped it, so he was lying in a puddle. Once they arrived, they removed him from the puddle. They then had to defibrillate him and were successful on getting his pulse back. Since he was still unconscious, they intubated him through the mouth and into the trachea to help him breathe. On their way to the hospital, he had opened his eyes. Later, my dad had heard that he had survived. But not all the stories have ended in such a good way. Another story, he was working as a firefighter and they were called to a house fire. They were the second truck to arrive, and the first truck was putting out the fire in the kitchen. My dad and two others advanced upstairs above the kitchen. They were crawling through the hallway and they heard fire through the walls. My dad knocked a hole in the wall so they would be able to put the fire out, but the room next to them was fully involved. This means that when he broke through the walls of the room, they were engulfed with flames. He was struck by what's called a flashover. This means the whole room was set on fire at once. My dad was in a fireball, and the guy standing behind him said he could only see his shadow in the flames. My dad was able to fall to the ground and push back towards the window. The door they entered was covered in flames, so they were forced to jump out of the window into a bush. All three of the firefighters survived. My dad had first and second degree burns on his face. One had hurt his legs from the fall, and one guy had cut his hand with broken glass. The house ended up being completely involved. He told me many unfortunate stories about children. He said that these stories that involve children are the ones that you always remember. I grew up loving to help people. Before coming to college, I knew I wanted to go into the medical field, but I was unsure how. Last semester, I had choices narrowed down between occupational therapy and social work. Recently, I've decided to do occupational therapy. I will rehabilitate those with physical and mental illnesses to help improve performance and activities that are required for daily life. I was able to gain the same compassion as my dad does for people. He has inspired me to go into the medical field. If not for him, I would not have gone to volunteer at our local food pantry to learn how passionate I am towards other people. I plan to continue on volunteering throughout my college career and beyond. My plan right now is to graduate from the University of Cincinnati in May of 2024. I plan on going to graduate school to get my master's in occupational therapy, but I still have not decided where to attend yet. After I get my master's in 2 years, I plan on following my dreams to move out of Ohio to somewhere south. I will decide where to go once I apply for jobs. I plan on trying to be a hero by making a difference in other people's lives, like my dad has.